talk about yesterday when we talked about everybody in the holler is the Tarkany family. Did they live in the holler?
No.
Okay, that's why we didn't get to them. So we'll talk about the Tarkany family because you were friends with Helen, correct?
No, my sister was
Okay.
friends with Helen.
We went.
There was Mary was my friend.
Okay.
We were same age.
So we'll talk about them, and we looked at a lot of photos of the Tarkany family too. I tried to ask if I could bring our computer over, but they didn't think we would have a good Wi-Fi in here in this room. And we want to tell the story about how you found your necklace. That's a great story, and I want to make sure we can see it because it's so beautiful and precious to you. There it is. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe that you found that. And we're going to talk about Mr. Himmler's house and your memories of that. We're going to talk about your church. We're going to talk about the company store a little bit. And school. You have some good memories about school. So we'll see if we can get through that. And anything else you want to talk about?
I think you've covered them pretty well.
So do you feel like you're ready?
Oh, yes.
And where is the camera? Okay. Okay, so here we are for our second day of filming. Irene Demyan Chraznowski. How are you this morning, Irene?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, great. So we have a lot to talk about today, and we hope to talk first about the Tarkany family, who you knew the children in that family. So I know that the Tarkanys did not live in your holler. So can you tell us where they lived?
They lived on the road going through Himlerville.
Okay.
And going, it comes from West Virginia.
Okay.
Crosses a bridge. But that road just is a road for everybody.
Okay.
It's a road. That's where the people travel, that drive or ride.
Okay.
And it goes right through Beauty and Himlerville. Now, go back to the Tarkany family.
Yep.
Their home was built like not up straight with the road, but they were like, their home was down.
Okay.
Like maybe 8 or 10 steps, and this was their home.
So you left the road and went down some steps to get to their house. I've got it. Interesting.
They had a nice little house. Clean.
Was Mrs. Tarkany Hungarian?
Yes. She and her husband both.
Okay.
They were very nice people.
Did they know your parents?
Yes.
Okay.
And they had a family of 3 boys. Paul, Steve, I think was his name, and Gabriel. They were the oldest. They were the 3 brothers.
What was that last name?
Gabriel. I think Gabriel was the oldest.
Gabriel?
3 brothers.
Gabriel. Is that what you're saying? Gaber. Oh, yes. And they were older than you?
Oh, yeah. They were older than Helen.
Okay.
They were the oldest 3 boys in the family.
How about the girls?
Helen was next after Steve. I think his name was Steve.
Okay.
I'm not clear about that. But he was the youngest of the 3. And then there was the one hall that was in the penitentiary in, I forget the name of it. It was a big place because I saw it. I went with my godmother, from when I got my first communion. They stopped there. I didn't go inside. I was in a car.
So that was not in Himlerville?
No, that was in, on our way home from Van Leer.
Okay.
Where we went to church.
Okay.
The church where we received our first communion.
I'm going to interrupt the discussion about the Tarkanis. So, was there a jail in Himlerville, or a sheriff, or?
A sheriff. A sheriff. I don't remember that there was a jail, but, and I don't, I was a child, and
right.
I don't really recall what happened, but I know there was an incident, and they accused Paul of it.
Okay.
And you know, once they decide, it's strict.
Yes.
Anyway, you want to get back to the Tarkanis?
Thank you. Sure.
Helen was next. She was my older sister's age. They were good friends.
Your sister Anna?
Yes.
Okay.
And then Mary. She was quite a bit younger than Helen. She was my friend. We went to school together. Good friends.
Did you walk over and pick her up like you did some of the other girls?
She called, no, it was out of the way.
Okay.
But she'd call up and come up to our house. She liked my mother, and she'd come to our house sometimes. We had fun together.
To visit you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I had the two younger brothers. And Mary was already, maybe she was 2 or 3 older. And she had, like, liking boys already.
Right. Right, naturally. Do you think she liked one of your brothers?
She liked my older brother.
John?
Yeah. And he looked at her one eye, and that was it.
Aww.
But she was a young girl and small. Mary was small too.
Okay.
You know, even the boys, all the boys, I don't think were more than not even 5 foot.
A small
You know how
clan.
Helen was not tall either.
Okay.
In anyway, Mary was small too. But a smart girl and smart in school.
Good in school, huh?
Mhm.
So she had some trouble with her vision, do you think?
Well, we had our eyes examined by the Dr. Keith that came from Irene's.
Was that his first name or his last name?
Last.
Keith.
And we had to pay $5 for if we didn't pass the exam, and we were signed up to get glasses. So was Mary, and so was I. And Helen right away sent her, she got her money to pay for the glasses. Well, it took me a while to get mine.
It's a lot of money back then.
A lot of money.
So $5 got you the examination and the pair of glasses?
Yeah, and we went then to Dr. Keith's office.
In Inez. Okay.
And his wife was his assistant.
How did you all get to Inez?
You know, I can't remember that. I can't remember.
Because that was too far to walk, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. We were so excited. We were more excited about getting glasses and going to Heine's about how important it was for us to get these glasses.
So Helen had them, and you had them, and Mary had them?
Not Helen.
No?
Just Mary and I.
Okay.
These were for the school children.
Okay.
That Dr. Keith came. Was a nice doctor.
Wonderful.
Served the whole school, the kids in school.
Wonderful.
When it came certain days to do their exams.
Right.
So their mother was, I think, just a little over 4 foot tall, and the father. I think they're that kind of people that came from Europe. And then their children that they had naturally were small stature.
Yeah.
I know some people, those Hungarians, they thought, they were little. My mother and father loved the Turkani family, and were always kind to them. And Mr. Turkani came when he wanted to know about the shoe shop.
Okay.
He came to my father for information.
I was wondering about that. I'm going to just digress a little bit. Your Uncle John and your dad doing the shoe repair, did they have a little storefront?
No.
Okay, so not that.
It was in the basement, back of our house.
Okay.
You see the basement front way in the back inside. Dad had cleaned up a corner.
Right.
And they had a neat, nice place.
Okay. And people would come?
Yes. And bring their shoes.
Right, right.
And Dad would tell them, when he could have them ready.
Right.
Well, Uncle John wasn't there yet.
Okay.
This was before he came.
Did Mr. Tarkani work in the mine?
No. He had a shoe place in his basement also.
Mr. Tarkani did?
Yes. And that was, they had the 3 sons, and I think that there was, help from the boys. And Mr. Tarkani, whatever he made, and, well, I'm sure they got some help also. Who knows?
Yep.
You don't go into the private family. But anyway, they had just a plain house inside. It was just things that you needed.
So you went over there to play with Mary sometimes?
I'd go to pick her up, especially on Sundays when we had the afternoon off. And we'd go out for the afternoon a little bit down in Himlerville to an ice cream store.
Wow.
And Mary never had time to get a nickel to spend at the ice cream store. But I had a little challenge to get my nickel.
How did you get your nickel?
Well, my mother broke down finally, and she'd give me one. So I'd stop moaning, and I'd tell her that, well, Mary has one. Well, Mary's was understandable. She had brothers that could help her, and a nickel didn't mean that much.
I'm sure
it did in our family.
Right. I'm sure you did a lot of chores at home.
Oh, I did. I did.
Go get the eggs and go work in the garden.
As I grew, I was always helping Mother and Daddy. As more as I could.
So there was an ice cream store in Himlerville, huh?
Yeah, that was Then I never told you about Orris's. They had a grocery store.
Can you spell that name for me?
O-R-O-S.
O-R-O-S. Nope, that's a new name for me, Irene.
That was a big store well, I could have to call it Beauty, but they were in Himlerville, their store. Their grocery store was quite popular, and of course they had on one side of the building was Mrs. Orris had some dry goods, and she had she was in charge of the store.
Okay.
Mr. Orris was back in the little room where he was mostly taking care of the meat business. If somebody came in and ordered some hot dogs and meat and whatever. And I'm getting involved with this.
Well,
now.
that's interesting. So this is completely different from the company store.
Oh, yes.
This is a private grocery store.
It was a big building. Now, when the flood came, that Orris's store was a blessing because all those homes, they had about 10 rooms upstairs.
That might
There
not be.
was a big family at Orris's.
Those are the company houses.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Were they Hungarian, Irene?
Oh, yes.
And was Mrs. Orris Hungarian as well?
Yes. She and Mr. Orris were both Hungarian.
Does that show you anything on that one?
Could see, they were the store, not near the company store. They were off of the road, that road that went through Himlerville.
Okay.
Like in front
Their
of the houses?
store was off of that road. Just, this looked like it could be it.
Those are the company houses?
Those
So
look like the company
it
houses.
was past the company houses?
Here's the,
Anyway, their store, their house that they lived in was a big 2-story house.
here's that park. Do you remember that we talked about that park? Do you know where this store is in relation to that park?
No. It was up farther on the same road where Turkaney's were.
Okay.
But it was up quite a ways. You know, it wasn't, as we came out of the holler,
Yep.
we had to go down the road a way to go to Orsa's store.
Did they have kids about your age?
Oh yeah, they had Joe, Frank, Tony, Bill. They had 2 boys that were living in New Jersey, John and Mike. They were the older sons. I hate to involve you in this now because they didn't live in Himlerville.
Yeah.
They lived away from home and had little stores in New Jersey somewhere.
Oh, goodness.
You know, that was their business.
Yeah.
We weren't,
That's
we didn't know about what they were doing. That was
6 boys.
private.
Yeah, 6 boys.
But they did, and they had 2 girls.
Oh, goodness.
Helen was the little younger than me. She went to the Himlerville school. And some of the boys went to the school in Himlerville,
Right.
but some that were a little older,
Yeah.
they were at home
Yeah.
to help it's a business during the day. They were active enough to be working already.
Where did your mom shop the most often? At Gordon's or Oros or the company store?
She went to Farkas's. That was a little grocery store that a miner's wife had. He was killed in the mines, but Mrs. Farkas had a little grocery store. Mother went there.
Is that in the holler?
No,
okay.
It's off of the road.
Okay.
Off of the road. Off of that same road.
Uh-huh.
Up on the hillside more. But she was a very kind lady and Hungarian. And to keep her going in her business, people were like that.
Right.
They would share if they could help out in the different stores. Horses were quite busy. Gordon's were busy. After Gordon left, Oris became more busy.
Got it.
Well, anyway, I didn't tell you. Oris's store had where she had. It was the whole building that I'm talking about. But her store was in the building, but then there was the ice cream where they sold ice cream and candy, and they had chairs and table if you wanted to order something. Even some food, I think you could order there, some light food.
At Oris's?
Yeah, Mr. Oris would get a plate ready. And it was nice and clean, very clean. And it wasn't just thrown together. It was nice serving them.
Right.
And a lot of times some of the, not only the Hungarian people there, but American kids.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
So while we're on the subject, you told me that you also would walk to Kermit and go to the Browns store?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about that, too.
Mm-hmm.
And you would walk there with your mom and your godmother?
Krishna Much.
Mrs. Meyercheck.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We went through Warfield. When we left Beauty, we went through a little town, Warfield, and went down on the riverside of Kentucky.
Okay.
And we crossed the bridge that we had to pay a nickel for.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody from Inez was the bridge toll taker.
Each one of you paid a nickel, or your family?
Just my mother, I think.
Okay.
Really?
You couldn't get across. She was strict, and she made sure you gave your nickel to get across.
I wonder if they owned the land where the bridge was. My goodness, that's like extortion.
They just appointed from Inez. I don't know if it belonged to the Endicott family, and they're the ones that collected the toll, that nickel.
And did you have to pay it again when you walked back home, or just to get over?
Yeah, but there was a place that the big other bridge, the railroad cars went on, and we could crawl under the fence on some man's property. He had an opening, and we could crawl under there and get to the bridge and go across. We didn't have to pay. And we tried to trick Endicott, the Tug River Bridge, and scooted. It wasn't lawful, but we somehow snuck through.
Not lawful, but more practical.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one nickel a day.
So you'd go over to Kermit?
We'd go on Kentucky's, on West Virginia's side.
Okay.
We never went the other way.
Okay.
Sometimes we'd be going home. I think mostly we went back to the Kermit Bridge, Tug River.
Where was the Brown store?
In Kermit.
Okay.
And Kermit was a little town trying to build up, and what had other groceries, other stores and buildings, businesses. The dentist was there, the doctor was downtown in Kermit, excuse me. There were grocery stores, excuse me.
That's all right.
It was bubbles.
In the Earlston coal mine company store was the coal mine where Daddy worked was on this side, but their store was in West Virginia.
And he worked there after the Himlerville mine closed, right?
Yes.
Yes.
He had a nice little job. We were happy when he worked there. He went to on Saturday, he would go shopping to the store and spend some of his money.
Yeah, you said they were always happy to see Mr. Demyan.
Oh, they were. They knew that Daddy was coming to buy pieces of meat, good meats, and he probably spent maybe a quarter of his pay at that company store.
Right.
And they were kind to Daddy. And they were happy. Dad was very friendly with the people that ran the company store.
You told me you thought that the Brown family was a Jewish family.
They were.
Okay.
And they lived in Kermit on a different, the railroad tracks, like the big train that went through Kermit then to some parts in Ohio. We knew the names of the trains.
Okay.
And when, they would run through.
Right.
It would, if we wanted to go to these, we didn't travel that much though, to go to. It was a railroad train, NNW. Tracks.
Got it.
And those tracks also went to Williamson. They went through Williamson and through parts of West Virginia.
Okay.
And then they went into Ohio, down on the other side. So that was like the NNW. They, when the coal mine was working, that was probably a conglomeration, I don't know.
Right.
So this is boring to you ladies.
We're never bored when you're talking, Irene.
No.
Rest assured.
But
could the kids ever walk over to Kermit by themselves, or did you always have to go?
My older brothers could go.
Okay.
When they sold things from his little orchard, and they'd have orders for people to buy.
Okay.
In Kermit, the ladies close to the bridge on the other side in West Virginia, they were so happy when John, my little brother John or Andrew would come. They'd have fresh strawberries or whatever was in season.
Right.
Eggs.
Right.
They loved the eggs when they brought eggs. That was from Andy Butcher.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, like I say, she didn't like helping in the house. She was the fatso.
Oh, that's a sad story, Irene. That's a sad one. I bet you jumped the next time he told you had to get inside.
I probably did.
Probably did. Well, we got to that story because you were telling me that you went to the 8th grade with Jack Mance, and that he lived in the Himmler house. Did he have any brothers and sisters?
One sister, Anita.
Anita. Was she a little younger than you?
No, she was his oldest.
His older sister.
I don't even remember where she went to school.
So
she didn't mingle with any of the kids.
No. So his family had a 15th birthday party for him, and you got to go inside the Himmler house. What was that party like?
Bunch of kids being silly. Spin the bottle and high school kids.
Spin the bottle?
I sat on the side and watched.
Was his mom there, like, bringing drinks and things?
Mr. and Mrs. Mance both had a chance to check on the kids.
Okay. You told me Mr. Mance was well-dressed and good-looking.
Good-looking, yeah.
And you thought that Jack might have died in a car accident years later?
He did.
You think he did?
Even the old man died in a car accident.
The same car accident?
No.
Oh.
I just heard that Jack died in a car accident. You know, those roads in Kentucky, they weren't to play on, they were to drive on.
Right.
And if you had some of this, that was dangerous too.
Well, sure.
And Mr. Mance liked to drink.
He did, huh?
And when they moved away from Kentucky, the Price family, they moved during the night. I never knew that they moved. When I got up the next day and somebody said Price's moved out of Lang's house.
That manager's house that we saw the picture of.
Mance,
Price.
Mance moved. They were like afraid of the miners. They got away quick.
Wow. In the middle of the night. Something was up with that. Huh?
Yeah. Nobody ever knew. I didn't know why.
Interesting.
Helen didn't even write to me where they moved in Kentucky somewhere.
Was that Helen Price?
And she was such a good friend. I would stay nights all night there. She would come to our house once in a while and stay all night.
Well, if her family left, she had to go.
Yeah.
So you don't know what happened to her, huh?
No. Well, I saw in the Inese paper, she was a teacher and she was doing some writing. And I was at the pictures where I was working, and I found this little article in the paper. It was the Inese paper.
That's when your sister got you a job in a nearby town.
Yeah, in Borderland.
In Borderland.
And babysit.
You were a mother's helper, like a nanny and a housekeeper for the Fitchers. And you loved that job.
Oh, I did. They were so good to me.
$5 a week, Irene. That was good money.
I was hired to babysit those 2 kids. I ended up doing the laundry, the ironing, cleaning the house, washing windows. Mrs. Fitcher loved me.
I bet.
No doubt.
Because she didn't even have to tell me to clean or do that. When the kids were still maybe sleeping in the morning, I'd get up 6 o'clock and maybe start dusting the house.
She did love you. You have your own room there?
Yes, I had a room. With the kids had a room. And they had their beds and I had mine. mine.
Oh, okay.
And then Mr. Fitcher's mother used to come from Chicago. The ball player that was in Chicago, the famous one, she was a mother-in-law to that daughter. She was married to that ball player.
Wow.
I don't remember their name. They never came to the Fitchers to visit. But Grandma Fitcher came.
Did you eat your meals with them, or did you eat separately?
Oh, if I wanted to eat with them, I was treated as a child. I says, no, I'll eat myself. I can get up and start cleaning the kitchen.
You are your mother's daughter.
And they were still maybe at the dining room. I wouldn't interfere while they were still.
Did they have a cook?
No, Mrs. Fitcher did the cooking.
And then I think you told me that job ended suddenly for you.
It did. My brother John came.
John again.
They did some dirty work at the mine. My brother-in-law. He would steal some of the coal miners. You know, they had a ticket to put on what they loaded.
Okay.
And I think Steve was caught that he did a couple loaded coal cars.
Okay.
And put his name on. Well, when he was fired, I don't know if my brothers quit or they quit. They were afraid.
Right.
That was scary.
Was that in Earlston?
No, that was in Borderland.
Okay.
Where I was babysitting.
I gotcha.
When he came, he says, Irene, you're going home. I came to get you. Go pack your clothes. We're going to look for a job. And you're going to be at home with Mom.
Right. I bet Mrs. Fitcher was very upset to lose you.
She cried. She went into her bedroom. She closed her door. I didn't see her until next time I came to Borderland. I had some friends that I hung around with. Young kids, kids like me.
So you went back to the holler?
Yeah.
And helped your mom?
Yeah.
Hey.
I had to go.
Yes, because John said so,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
What'd your daddy say?
What
did your daddy say?
Probably my father, I don't know if he was working at the Earls. Daddy wasn't home either. Daddy would go to Borderland, and he got a job there. Now, this was an ex-man that ran the coal company in Borderland, and he went to another place and was the boss, big boss. He hired Steve, my brothers, Dad, Mr. Lazar, some of the guys that were from Beauty.
Right.
Got nice jobs.
Right. Hey, back to that birthday party. Back then, when you'd go to a birthday party, did you bring a gift?
No.
No?
No.
Did you all just have, like, cake?
And a Coke and candy bars.
Right. And then you played spin the bottle.
Mm-hmm. My mother would give me spin a bottle.
Your mother gave you a bottle?
No, she'd give me if she knew that.
Oh, if she knew.
She'd kill me.
See, these kids that came to the party, they were from Kermit High School.
Different.
I was from Warfield. We didn't play spin a bottle.
They were a little racy from Kermit, huh? They were a little, you know.
Yeah.
Faster
Kids from Kermit.
And that's why Margaret, Mary Tarkani went there. She, you know, was a little bit older than me. So she enjoyed that kind of company, the kids.
What would you wear to the party?
Just my regular, maybe better dress that I had. That was just one time I went.
Yeah. But that was the time you were in Himmler's house. You had to go up all those steps to get up there? Wow. A lot of steps.
Even there were other kids. They were bozo kids, twin Daniel and Sissy. They didn't come to the, and weren't invited.
No.
They went to Kermit High School when they left Himlerville, but I'm sure they weren't even invited. Their mother wouldn't allow them to go to that kind of party where kids would be touching each other and having a
flirting
spin a bottle.
Why do you think you were invited?
Through Mary Tarkani and Jack.
And what do you think that your mother and father thought about you going to that party?
Well, I had a little problem to go.
How did you make it happen?
Because Mary begged and she said that, Irene, you have to go. I don't want to go myself. So I went with her.
So you told Mother, I have to go with Mary. You don't want Mary to go by herself. Okay.
Safety in numbers.
Safety in numbers.
So Mary knew these kids from
I
Kermit.
see.
She went to high school with them.
Right, right. Anything in particular you remember about that house that was impressive to you?
It was beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Of course, I just sat around and stared and took everything in.
Right, right.
I didn't even participate much in the party. I was like an orphan child with these rich kids, and I did join some of it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't that kind of a kid. So if they when they played games, nobody picked me.
I think you sent out a vibe like, don't even try it. Right. Well, Irene, you just have a wealth of information and such sharp, clear pictures in your head about your wonderful childhood with the wonderful Demyan family, your hardworking parents, your brothers and sisters, the gardens and the holler.
And we always tried to improve something in the house,
Right.
make it better.
Right.
My father wasn't much at doing that, but my brothers
Right.
were, they'd want to do something better.
Your father was probably pretty tired after a day of mining and then working in the garden all the time. Do you wish you could go back and see the holler?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, my sister Anna did go back.
Did she? And you brought your oldest daughter Betty there, didn't you? And your son John there, I think.
Well, that's when I was married already.
Right.
We'd go in the summertime
Yeah.
to Kentucky and visit Mom and Dad. We'd go from Erie
Yeah.
and visit.
So I think that we're going to wrap things up now.
Okay, good.
You've done an outstanding job. Are you tired?
I'm ready to go, where I
Okay.
want to go.
I'm just wondering what you think is some of the most important things to remember about that time and that place.
Oh, everything. I enjoyed everything. And you gave so much time, and gave so much time. You were interested.
I was. I just think it's fascinating what Mr. Himmler created there and what kind of vision he had for the Hungarian people there.
I'm sorry, though, that I don't get to see more of the Cassidy people and Younger
And the
and
youngers?
his wife.
We might try to make that happen on the computer.
Well, what I did see, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. We might work on that in the future. To be continued.
Yes, definitely.
Any last things about your beautiful Himlerville upbringing?
No.
Well, thanks for telling us all about it.
Thank you, Irene.
Can look in the camera and sign off.
Well, ladies, that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
You were both very lovely and caring.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
We wanted you to
Immensely.
have fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it immensely. Let's sign off.
Goodbye. Those bushes that were growing up on the side of the porch.
Like a climbing up a trellis or
Yes,
something.
yes.
Nice.
And they had beautiful roses.
Did they?
Beautiful roses. Just, they were the kind that were blooming all the time. Well taken care of people.
Right.
People enjoyed their flowers.
I just picture Himlerville as clean and organized
It was.
and thriving.
It was. Around the company houses, all those people kept yards nice, and what piece of land they had. They kept it nice and clean.
This is a picture.
And didn't throw their cans out the window
No.
over a bank, and
Right.
that's how it began to be after the company houses weren't there.
Yeah.
Right.
Some
Right.
people
A lot of
lived
them
like
live that way down there.
This is a picture that's labeled the manager's house. That's not Mr. Himmler's house.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a lot of construction down below. Do you remember the manager's house?
Yes, Lang's.
Who? Mr. Lang.
I slept in that house.
You slept in there? You knew one of his
After-
kids?
Mant came.
Yeah.
Well, Price's was his right-hand man. And
So-
they had a girl my age.
After Mr. Himmler left and Mr.
Yes,
Lang
yes.
left, Mr. Mance came and
Yes,
Mr. Price came. And the Price family lived there.
Yes.
What were their children's names?
Haskell, they had twin young women, Irene and Pauline. Haskell was the oldest son, and I don't remember the younger kids. Probably if I would be sleeping, those names would come,
Probably.
because I was close with all of them. When I went there, every Saturday night when I stayed, Mrs. Price gave each one of the kids a candy bar.
Ooh,
Wow.
ooh. And this was not a Hungarian family?
No.
No. So the mine wasn't running anymore.
Well, man tried to
Okay.
have a mine,
Okay.
but it wasn't a success as
When it was Mr. Himmler's.
yeah.
This picture, we've looked at it before. It's kind of hard to see, but there's the company store, I think, and in front of it is a park.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in the center of the park, I don't know if it's a fountain or a garden.
A fountain. And maybe a garden, a little garden where they planted things. Could have been, you know, like a, it looks more like a thing that was right on the garden, and it was well taken care of.
It's all fenced in.
That was fenced in. Kids weren't allowed to tramp in there.
Weren't you tempted, though, Irene?
No. No. We knew that was
Off
trouble.
limits. I'm surprised there's not a flagpole there, to tell you the truth. I don't see a flagpole.
well, it wouldn't be an American flag, I don't think it would. I think everybody had a flag though at home.
Did they?
An American flag.
Did they?
Yeah, I don't think there was a house that didn't have a flag in it.
That's interesting.
We, every holiday, our flag was put on the front porch, hung up,
Right.
and it showed that that was a red, white, and blue flag.
Right. Your patriotism.
Yeah.
Right. I know Mr. Himmler was quite proud of the American dream and the success that the Hungarians' families could have.
See, even Merchants, I think, had a flag.
Did they?
It was maybe a small one that they had they displayed on 4th of July and Flag Day.
So knowing that that's the park, your hauler was over here? You came into town from this left side here?
Yes.
Yes, I think that's what you told me.
This building it doesn't look like a company house.
Bless
Excuse
you.
me.
Where was the church when you look at this store here?
The church was over this way.
Okay.
If I could point out the bank, the church was low built, like 2 doors away.
Okay. And then the school wasn't far?
And the school was then down this way. I saw a picture where the school was.
You know what I never asked you before? Were there other haulers that had as many families as Gordon Haller?
I'm sure there were.
Did you know of them? Or
No, but my brothers knew about, you know, I wasn't allowed to roam around in all those places that had haulers in
Right.
it.
But I wonder if there were other neighborhoods, like you had your neighborhood that had
Well, see, the Hungarians built that.
right? Were there other Hungarians in another hauler, do you think?
No,
Okay.
see, that was between 2 mountains or 2 hills, and it was such a good place to buy property, land to put your house, to build your house.
Do you think that your mother and father sold that when they moved up to Ohio?
Yeah, they more or less gave it away.
To someone in your family?
Yeah, I know one of my nephews' name was on the property. He paid the kept paying the taxes on it.
Was he a Demyan?
Yes. He was my father's first grandson. He was my brother John's son.
Okay. Do you think he still owns that property?
Well, I think that John has passed away.
Okay.
He was working at one of the big airports in Buffalo, and he got cancer in his head. I have pictures of him on my family reunion.
Your brother?
No, my nephew.
Oh, your nephew. Okay.
Yeah. And they never said, did he contact cancer maybe from the gases that, you know, he was exposed to, or...
In the mine?
No, at the airport.
Oh, I see. I'm with you now.
That was a busy, busy airport.
Right.
Where John worked. He had a good job. Very good. Paid good. He made good money there.
I'm going to show the camera this picture. We tried to blow it up from one of the websites. It's kind of hard to see it, but...
Yeah, a lot of these pictures are hard to make out.
I agree. You're doing a good job with it, though. Okay. So this is I think, the entrance to the mine shaft.
Yes.
See the rails going down, and then there's a building over there. Irene, true confessions. Did you ever go down that mine shaft?
I went down steps. The steps that went into the mine.
Yeah.
From the top step to the last step. We used to go there. The mine wasn't working. So some of us kids were looking for places to go to.
You were a teenager then? A young teenager, I bet?
No, not quite a teenager. I don't think I went there when I was a teenager.
So you were like 10 or 11?
Well, maybe even 13, 14.
13 or 14? Who did you go over to the mine with?
Other kids from the holler, friends, that their parents didn't know where they went.
Was Mary Tarkany with you?
I don't think Mary went too often. I don't remember.
Any of the Mayercheck kids?
No. The
No.
Marchuk kids were all much older.
Oh, okay. Well, that must have been exciting and scary to go down that mine.
It was.
You're a brave soul, a spunky kid.
It was scary.
What would your mom and dad do if they knew you did that?
Oh, we would be reprimanded for doing that. That was a dangerous job,
Yes,
too.
it
Those
was.
steps were clear, high. So many steps to go down into the mine.
Do you remember your dad or any of the other miners having lung disease?
No.
Did they cough? Anything like that?
Nagy Bachi was a heavy smoker.
Okay.
And he came from Illinois, from a mine,
Okay.
when they moved to Beauty. He had that deep, it was, I used to feel so sorry for him.
Right.
He had a hard time breathing.
I'm thinking too about that black lung disease that coal miners suffer from.
Maybe that's what he had.
Do you think your dad ever had it?
No.
No? Oh, good. He was lucky.
I don't know if there was a way that they would keep from getting it, or it was just certain parts in the mine.
You know, I know that you were young, but we saw a lot of pictures. We saw a picture of Mr. Himmler with the coal miners. And did I give you that? Guys with the headlamps on
Yes.
and the hard
Carbide
hats.
lamp.
You probably a carbine lamp. You probably saw them walking home from work
Oh, yeah.
quite often.
Many, many times.
I'm looking for that one picture, Irene. Here it is. So we'll show it to the camera.
Not only the Hungarian people worked in the mine,
No?
there were a lot of American men that worked. My father, in fact, they'd give my dad a ride to work in their truck.
Who would give him a
Back
ride?
then, a coal miner that would take a load of coal miners to work.
Oh, okay. Get them there so they can start working, huh? So,
Well, he was working in Earlston.
oh, okay. So you can see the rail line that goes in and the stone above it, and there's a gentleman with that hat on. The big wheel over here.
He must have been some sort of watchman at the. You know, they protected the miners as they went in, and if they had a breakdown, that was announced. If something broke in the mine, there was right away help. Went to help those miners.
Oh, good.
You know, that they couldn't come out.
Right.
Not that something broke in the mine, but maybe some of the railroad track, or the little coal cars, or I don't know what.
Right.
I
Right.
never went.
Some
on.
equipment.
Yeah.
Like the things that brought them up in and out.
The
Maybe
elevators?
like an elevator and things.
An elevator in there.
I don't know what they had.
Yeah, some of them had those.
I don't know if they were that up to date, that it was that that kind of a mine.
Right.
Here's that beautiful postcard of the Himmler house. You told me your brothers and sisters were there for Christmas parties?
No,
No?
I went to a birthday party
Right,
when Nance lived there.
right. But before that, when you were too little to go to the parties, I thought you said that Anna and John went.
That was not at the house,
Okay.
at
The community theater?
yes.
Oh, let's talk about that.
We all went there.
I don't think I have a picture of that, but I know what you're talking about. The community theater where they had the dances. You went there too?
If Nina Chraznowski went, and she would ask Mom to go with her. Well, Mom would take me,
What would they go there for?
sit in a chair and watch what was on. If there was a dance, they watched the people.
I see.
My mother didn't, and Chraznowski, at their age, they didn't dance. But there were the young people that had the grape dance. And
The grape harvest dance? Right.
that was a beautiful thing. I remember.
I think that so, it shows you how Mr. Himmler thought of the people to put a community building there.
Yes, yes. They had, it was theater. They had shows, son.
Really? To
Yeah.
go to the movies, you mean?
I didn't go much. I was too young.
Right.
I wouldn't be allowed to go. But I know John, Sue, and Ann, and Andy, they went to movies.
Did you have to pay a nickel to go to the movies? You
They
think?
had to have a ticket. They paid to go in to watch.
Fun.
You know, that had to all be paid for.
Right.
And somehow money came in
Right.
to provide for things that were needed.
It looked like a big building to me.
It was quite a wonderful structure and a well taken care of.
Do you think it had a kitchen so they could provide food at some of those things?
I don't remember that they could have been serving some food, but I wouldn't be getting something to eat.
You had mentioned to me that the younger family, the boys were musicians, and that they would play. They were like a band?
Orchestra.
An orchestra.
You know, they didn't play the banjo and I don't know what they played up to date kind of music.
More modern, not Hungarian folk music.
It could have been something, I don't know.
Maybe.
Did Mr. Younger say he played the violin or the fiddle? I'm trying to remember
That
what
might
he
be.
said.
There were some that I think a man that came and played the violin. That was a special show.
Yeah.
Was it most often in the summer, or did they use it all year round?
I think in the winter too. They used it all year round.
Oh, neat.
And it was well taken care of.
Right. Everything there was well taken care of and in good condition, wasn't it? All the buildings were well taken care of and maintained in Himlerville, from
I
what
think
you've told
so.
me. Let's talk about Mr. Himmler's house.
It was beautiful. It wasn't Himmler's house that I was in. I was in Mance when Mance lived there.
That's what
already.
you said.
But I think they had it was still. Now, you know, I don't know whether Himmler took all his things that he had in his home.
You know, we have some pictures. They're kind of hard to see, but this looks like, I'll show it to the camera first, like the house maybe when it was first constructed.
That's the back side.
Okay?
Yes.
They had, when Himmler was there, they had the best furnace in the
So here's the back side of it. You used to play on the steps, you told me, when you were younger. But I think it's first brand new because there's nothing on the grounds, no flowers or anything.
They didn't like for kids to be, that had a fence around it when this constructed. Kids didn't really run around even on the property. The Himmler house that I would remember.
Here's a picture of the inside, and here's a table and chairs and a fireplace. And then it looks like in there is a sitting room. Does any of that look familiar to you?
No.
Not really? It probably looked different when the Mance family brought their things there.
Could be. And I would have been too young when Himmler was there.
Do you ever remember seeing him, Irene?
I'm sure we got a glimpse of him. You know, he wasn't unspeakable, or we couldn't see him. There were times that I remember what he looked like.
Do you ever remember your father talking about him, or when the other families would come over, did they talk about him? And
Yes, the miners always discussed what was going on.
right.
You know, if they knew something, they would pass it on to the rest of the miners.
I wonder what they had to say about Mr. Himmler.
Well, he was well liked.
Was he?
Well liked because he took care of the people, and there were buildings that they had places like the show. The
theater.
Yeah. Well, that was probably constructed on account of Himmler needing and designing not designing, but they needed a place for the theater and for what went on.
Right.
So he brought even people from New York City. I don't remember seeing, but Mom said that there were singers, professional people that came and sang on the stage.
Really?
That Himmler paid for, and they came. Mm-hmm.
Probably he felt if the miners' families were happy, if their wives were happy and their children were happy, he would have a good workforce.
Who had that open house when somebody came. I don't know what kind of people attended those shows. I'm sure it was for the people to enjoy.
We talked at one point when the board of directors would come and meet with Mr. Himmler, and some of them stayed at the boarding house.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know someone who worked at the boarding house?
Yeah, some of the young women that worked in the kitchen.
Were they from the holler? Were they families from the holler?
No, they were younger girls from families. I know some of the girls.
You told me a name at one point of someone you knew who worked there, I thought.
Well, a lot of those young girls worked.
Yeah.
You know, they needed help at the boarding house. And Simmons, or if they had young ladies, young girls, they got jobs at the boarding house.
Was it a big place, the boarding house?
It was, yes, it was quite, when the coal mines were going, I think almost all of the rooms were filled.
Did you ever go in that boarding house?
No.
No? Not that you told anyone anyway. Let's talk about that time that you got to go to the Mance boy's 15th birthday party. What was his name?
Jack.
Jack Mance. Did you go to school with him?
No, he went to Kermit.
How did you get to know him well enough to be invited?
Well, I went up to 8th grade, and he went to 8th grade.
Oh, okay.
And then he went to Kermit. A lot of the kids, I don't know, they thought the school were better than the Kermit at Warfield. You had to pay a tuition to go to their school at Kermit.
Oh, you did?
I think Mary Tarkani went there.
Oh, did she?
And Helen, her sister, I think, went there years before.
And you didn't go?
No.
Did you start helping your mom then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Elizabeth came along? You were good to your family, Irene.
My mother never had to, until I was like, we used to cut out paper things in the catalogs, and Mary Tarkani would come, or Helen Price, and we would make rooms.
Oh.
And play on the front porch.
Oh, how fun.
And Mother would be making something, and my brother John would say, Irene, Mother's calling you to come help her with something. I wasn't, real sure that I wanted to go. Now, Irene, you go. There was one time he picked up all of my paper cutouts and things. We didn't have too many that were bought.
Right.
We used to cut them out of the
catalog.
Yeah. And we're happy with them. So was Helen Price.
Well, what did John do one time?
He picked them up and threw them in the toilet.
Oh.
my whole,
collection.
yeah.
Big brothers.
I didn't listen. I didn't go when my mom called. Outhouse.
Yeah.
That went down in a toilet. Never really got to get again.
That broke
That
your
was
heart.
heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yes,
He sounds kind of bossy.
he was. Well, he had authority. If we didn't listen to Dad was working, and Mother was working with the family.
And the boys didn't do the housework
Yeah.
chores, right?
No.
Right.
They just got to be the bosses.
If Mother needed help, she'd say, John, go call Irene.
Aw.
And Mildred would.
A lot about the company store, and we talked about school, and Miss Nolda, and your principal, and the Hungarian school, and
Brought in another Hungarian store, horses.
we did. That was terrific. That was just terrific. And the Farkas store,
Yeah.
that was another new one. So we're going to finish our interview sessions by talking about your church, and then about Mr. Himmler and his home and what he really created for his community in Himlerville. How does that sound? Okay, so let's start talking about St. Stephen's. That was an important place for the Demyans.
Yes.
What do you remember about it?
It was my love.
Oh,
My daddy's and mine, and well, it was by the Such family that they started the church, I think.
yeah, you've told me a little bit about that.
In Marchuk,
Okay.
Krishnamach was an active member. Krishnamama was a strong religious person.
A strong Catholic, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
There were other women. Mrs. Dymosley was a very good person that took a lot of time to donate her time for coming in and helping.
Were they cleaning the altar and doing those
Yes.
kinds of things?
Yes.
Oh, there's always a good group of church
I
ladies.
went one time with Krishnamach and helped her one Saturday because she says she's getting so tired.
Okay, that was nice.
And I was happy she asked me. Of course, Daddy was at home, and he was blind, and I was at home always watching if he needed anything or.
That was from that accident where the chain broke
Yes.
off the little
Yes.
cars and struck him in the head.
Yes.
Oh, he lost his eye, you said.
Lost one at the accident, and on the other one, the doctors didn't know much about it, so he was getting shots. I used to take him every Friday to Williamson to this doctor. He wasn't improving his sight. And somebody used to always tell us, take him to Bluefield, that there's a wonderful doctor for the coal miners there. Well, I had no way of getting there. So my sister Ann and Steve took him to New York City to this eye doctor.
Oh,
Really?
He was in, yes, they were gone for a week. And they said, it's too late. Too late already.
That was a big trip for your daddy.
Yes. I don't know. No, Daddy didn't go. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He would have to be there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he could go through all the examinations. And it was disappointing
Yes.
when they came home and
Yeah.
said there was a name for that dead in his eye, the other one.
Did he have glaucoma or macular degeneration? Does that sound familiar?
Maybe not degeneration.
Maybe glaucoma.
Maybe it was, but it was a word that I can't remember.
The
Yeah.
cataract?
Cataracts?
He had cataracts too,
Yeah.
but it was too late.
They
Yeah.
couldn't fix it.
Well, I think at least he could tell himself he tried everything,
Yes.
you know. So back to St. Stephen's. You know what I've been wondering? Did it have a beautiful altar or was it plain?
No, it was an altar.
Yeah.
Yes. It was nice. But not if the church wasn't that exquisite like St. Stan's where I was married.
Here in Erie.
This was what the Hungarian people could afford. And
Did you have an altar for the Blessed Virgin?
yes, Mrs. Jolis had a statue with the Blessed Mother,
Okay.
and she even decorated it around
Right.
with the rose.
I bet. That was an important altar.
Yes.
Did you have a statue of St. Joseph?
The other side, there was St. Joseph.
Right. How about a confessional?
Yes, there was a confessional side room where the confessional, where the priest listened to confession.
Did you have to go there every week, Irene?
No, we didn't have a priest every week.
I'm teasing you now.
And I was a child.
I
I
know.
used to shake when I went to confession.
Oh, it was scary for me too. It was dark in there.
Oh, I think every child is just for no reason at all, only their own.
Right. You've told me about how the children of the parish received their sacraments and that there was no bishop in Himlerville.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit about that.
We went to the town of Van Leer,
Okay.
Kentucky. Do you know where that is?
Yes. Loretta Lynn's from Van Leer, Kentucky.
It's a cute little town.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went there, and they were so strict. All of us kids were so eager to look around at the building inside, and I think the bishop was so nervous that all those kids came, and we shouldn't be allowed to inspect the whole area.
Kids are curious though, aren't they?
Yes. So anyway, we calmed down, and the mass started. And we had our name written on a piece of paper, what was to be our confirmation name.
Okay, so confirmation you
Yes.
went there.
And that lasted maybe an hour or better. There were quite a few children, I remember.
So
I was, I don't know,
for your confirmation, would you have been about 12 or 13?
probably.
Do you remember your first Holy Communion?
Yes.
When we had it, all the girls wore white, and we had flowers. Did you do it that way for your
No.
first? No?
I think that we had a veil on,
Right, I bet you did.
this little short veil. It was exciting. It was exciting that we weren't nervous at all or afraid.
But before your first Holy Communion, you would have had the sacrament of penance.
Honey, I don't remember.
You probably did. I'm wondering who that bishop was back then.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
he didn't give us a card, but, you know, to like a remembrance of our first communion.
So at St. Stephen's, did the priest come once a month?
Yes, whenever. There were times that he couldn't come if there was no priest available. We didn't have a priest even that day. Then Mrs. Thomas Lee or the ladies would maybe be in church and they'd make an announcement the priest couldn't get to Himlerville. And they would start the Mass and services, started the way they could. And we all followed the prayers, but of course they were in Hungarian.
Oh, they were? I would have thought Latin, to tell you the truth.
No, I don't think that Latin was used that much.
Interesting. Can you say a Hail Mary in Hungarian?
No,
or the Our Father?
I used to say the Hail Mary and the Our Father with my mother almost every evening. But you know, if you're a child and you don't keep saying those prayers, you forget.
You sure
but
do.
I know that in American.
Right. Oh, right. I bet you if someone got you started, it would just come right out of you, that Hungarian prayer.
I don't know.
Probably.
Well, you know, I didn't pray in Hungary.
No.
I didn't. It was generally just what I caught with the conversations that the people used to have.
Your mom probably did, though, pray in Hungarian. Don't you think?
No, my mother prayed in Slovak.
Pardon me,
She had her own Bible.
Right, I misspoke.
And Daddy had his own book.
And you said he always went every week, your dad, right?
No, Daddy didn't go, just when the priest came.
Oh, okay.
Most of the men didn't attend.
Okay. I'm sorry I misunderstood that part. Well, I want to hear more about that beautiful choir.
Teresa Shoulders played the organ.
That was one of the daughters, right?
Yes.
Yes.
She was a librarian at the high school in Warfield.
Okay.
And she went to this, what is it? This college in Kentucky.
Moorhead?
Moorhead. Yeah, that's where I think she graduated from. And she was interested in us kids. When she had some classes in Moorhead that she learned, she brought them back and taught them to us.
Really?
She had the songs on a piece of paper typed out, and with the, you know, go high or low or how to sing. She was interesting to help us. She was very good.
Did the church have a pipe organ?
No.
An upright?
Yes. It was there, I guess, when they built the church. That's how old it was.
Wow. Still a good instrument.
It played. She did well on it.
And tell Annette about the choir.
Us kids. We stood around her and we sang as loud as we could.
That's right.
Oh, I bet it was good.
Yeah, joyful noise unto the Lord.
Right, lift your voice.
My mother was at church a couple of times and she said to me, Irene, you singing loud. I could pick out your voice.
Was that good or bad?
I was too loud singing. I had to sing louder than everybody else.
Well, you must have enjoyed it, though.
Yeah, I was good. I had a good voice even in church and in school. But I have no voice as I got older.
Yeah. Oh, that happens to us as we age. Right. You have catechism class?
In the summer, there were times that some boys that were studying to be priests came maybe for a week, and I don't know where they lived, but they came.
There must have been a seminary somewhere in Kentucky, I would think.
Oh, Covington or
Okay.
Louisville, or there's a lot of Catholic places for the
There's one in
boys to
Ashland,
learn.
I think, Ashland, Kentucky.
To learn to become priests.
Ashland? Do you know where Ashland is?
Ashland, Kentucky is just a small town. Ashland is not like a place where there would be seminaries, but Louisville, Covington, those bigger cities, I'm sure they had schools for boys.
So your church had an organ and a altar for the Blessed Virgin, a statue of St. Joseph, and a confessional, pews, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah.
an altar, a tabernacle. It probably had a tabernacle,
Oh, sure.
right?
In the altar.
Right, right.
Sure would say sometime the priest would, open it.
Right. You probably, well, you wonder how busy that priest was. Could he make it there for Easter Mass?
I don't think he ever came for Easter.
He was probably at the
He
big
was-
churches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either in Van Leer
Okay.
or he had other towns in Kentucky that he went to. And he had to take turns on
Yes.
Sundays where he was to be.
When we were kids, we always went to midnight Mass on Christmas.
Oh, we did too.
Did you?
If we didn't have the priest, we went to church.
Yes.
I don't ever remember really having a priest that came.
How about for a funeral, Irene? Would there be a priest there for a funeral Mass?
Yes, there would be. A priest would come.
And was the cemetery far from St. Stephen's?
Yeah, the church was down in the area where the school was,
Okay.
and there was the road going up to the cemetery.
You and I saw some pictures of that wrought iron fence around the cemetery.
Around the graves.
Yeah. Did your sister Anna get married at St. Stephen's?
No,
No?
I think she eloped with Steve.
Oh, okay.
My daddy would have never gave permission. Steve was married once before.
Oh. Was he Catholic, though?
They were a Catholic. They
Right.
were Catholic for family, but they weren't participating kind of family.
Yes.
All of their sons were drinkers and married and divorced.
Yeah.
and-
That wasn't very acceptable back then.
no.
A lot of stigma about it.
And Mr. and Mrs. Horvath, they didn't have a good marriage. He was a drunk too.
His parents, Steve's parents.
Steve's parents.
I've got it.
I wouldn't say a drunk, but every chance he got anything to drink, well, he was sure to get it.
Were your brothers altar boys?
I don't remember if either one of them being
Okay.
comfortable. See, I was too young to know when there was a priest that we used to have a priest from the beginning, Father Hanson. There were two priest brothers that there was one that stayed somewhere in Himlerville,
Oh, really?
And he had Mass every Sunday.
Boy, that must have made their mother proud. 2 priests in the family.
I don't mean that. They were two, yeah. Oh, certainly, because there were 2 brothers.
Right.
One was older and one was slightly younger. And they were very religious kind of priests, interested in the people.
Right.
And themselves were kind men. Well, today you hear different kind of stories, so
You sure do.
Yeah, you do.
which is sad.
Yeah. When you were a girl, did you have your own Bible?
Catechism paper, a
Okay.
book. Hmm.
Because I know you have your prayer book here, and it's well worn and loved, your prayer book.
Yeah, we had a catechism book, like big size, like about this.
Mm-hmm.
We got that when we made our confirmation and first communion. Excuse me.
Did Mr. Demyan read the Bible at home? Do you remember anything like that?
Yeah, every Sunday, if he didn't go to the Mass, the priest wasn't there, he would read his own Bible on
So
Sunday morning.
Mr. Himmler helped provide to have this church built in Himlerville, would you say?
I was 3 years old, or
Because a lot of the Hungarian people are Catholic. Am I right about that?
and some are not.
Right.
Now, the Nagy family, they were Presbyterian,
Okay.
I think, and Fodors were not Catholic.
Okay.
And Curtis's, I don't think, were real staunch Catholic family. But and Tarkanis weren't Catholic.
They were not. Oh. Well, Mr. Such was,
Yes,
and he donated some money, right?
yes.
What did he provide for that church?
The bell for the church, the windows.
Stained glass windows, right?
I'm sure he did more than, I could tell you. Because like I said, I
Oh,
was
sure.
such a child for so long that wasn't discussed with kids.
No. So you said the church had a problem because it was built into a bank and it would rain.
It wasn't built into the bank,
Okay.
but right behind was the hill.
Okay.
And any time a big rain came, somehow the water was coming down from the hill. That had to go somewhere.
Right.
And I'm sure Mr. Shoulders also was like a caretaker.
Oh, he was.
He was a good. They were good people to take care of that. They were taking care of the church because he was handy.
Right.
He put a fence and he put a cement sidewalk and places that needed
For the church or?
for the people. Made it more convenient.
Wonderful. And less muddy.
Yes. made sure the bridge there was a little bridge that came off from the big store, the coal.
The company store?
Yeah. And there were a lot of the Catholic people on that side,
Right.
Well, they made sure that bridge was always in good condition for the people to cross over to come to St. Stephen's.
You told me that at one point you thought with a lot of rain that mud came down to one of the walls of the church.
That was the last that I wasn't even living in Erie, and the men had to tear tear down the church.
You had left Himlerville?
Yes.
So you were an older woman, a young woman, up in Erie?
No, I think I was in... It could be. I don't know if it was that late or even time before.
Okay. But you heard that something happened to the church?
Yes. In the Dummesley boys, August and Bill, they gave a lot of their time to tear down the church and save the wood. And then they built a church somewhere on Kentucky's side. I don't know how they ever picked that part of the... There were no Catholic people back there, but maybe they had a piece of land. And somehow the bishop blessed the ground and a new church came up.
Whereabouts was that?
That was quite a way from Himlerville.
Wow.
I wonder if they still called it St. Stephen's.
I don't think so. I'm sure they named it their own.
I wonder if they took the bell.
Sure.
Somebody bought the bell.
Okay. How about the beautiful windows?
You know, who knows?
Hard to say.
If they took all of those things and they could have been taken to the new church that was built. And it was only a small church that they built away. I never was there.
After seeing the photo of you in the calendar, I can just picture you singing away around Teresa while she's playing the organ.
What was it?
I said I can just picture you singing away while Miss Teresa was playing the organ.
Yeah, I was always one of her kids that was there on Sunday when we had church.
Seems like you liked it, going to
did.
church. Anything else you remember about St. Stephen's?
Well, it was active at one time.
Okay.
And then when a flood came in, did a lot of damage and a lot of the people went over, moved away.
Right.
There weren't that many Catholics left.
Right. I got it. You ready to switch topics now? Anything else you want to say about your church?
No. But it was well taken care of.
Wonderful.
While it was able to still stand and...
It was loved, huh?
Yes.
Well, now we're going to try to talk about Himlerville. We talked a lot about the store and the church, but I can't picture Himlerville because I've never been down there. The company houses we haven't talked about too much. Did you ever have a friend who lived in a company house?
Yes.
Who was that?
Almost all of the people that lived there, except like the holler, all those people had a house built.
Okay. Were the company houses nice?
They were like 5 rooms, or I think they even had water in them. Toilets.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that
Some
kind of surprises me.
Not all of them.
Who was your friends that you knew in the company houses? Can you remember those family names?
Yes. Bozos lived in one.
The Bozos?
Canals and lots of Hungarian people.
What was that last name, Irene?
Canals.
Knaus?
Mm-hmm. Well, they were, family related to somebody else that lived in the company house.
Here's a picture of the company house with the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
See them all side by side?
Yeah.
That looks like it was just built.
This one looks like it was on a corner, and it looks like it was well taken care of.
It does.
Who had it? Had a little porch in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And people sometimes, the ones that wanted maybe a rose vine, they had
Say we're in your classroom.
50.
Oh my,
Oh,
good,
my.
good golly.
Mm-hmm. And we had a nice desk. And
Do you have a big slate board?
yes. We had the desk. I know at one time they were just poor desk, school desk. We got new desk and the bench.
Oh, okay. Did you pack your lunches
Yes.
and eat right at your desk, probably?
Well, we were let out at the
Okay.
lunchroom, but we could eat at our desk. You know, maybe some of them ate and went out to the lunch outside if it wasn't cold.
Well-
And played on the school ground.
I know that Miss Cassidy was fond of you too, because you
Yeah.
told me sometimes she would take you home for the weekend.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
I would go to this beautiful house that they lived in.
Right?
Only I never saw that she was friendly with her mother. I don't know if she was a stepmother or a second wife to Mr. Cassidy, and he was raising the children, because Apple, see, they were all, Apple didn't live at home when I went there.
So Apple was Nolda's twin,
Yeah,
Applejack. you
I
told
don't
me.
know where she lived. She was, well, she was the same age as Nolda. I think they were twins.
Could
They
she have
were.
been married by then?
I think she was.
Okay.
She married out of the family. But he was a school teacher at Irene's.
Okay.
And they didn't like this. The Cassidys didn't really, I shouldn't say like, but they weren't friends with him.
Weren't as
I don't
familiar.
remember if his name was Hardin, what his name was. Anyway, she had a little grocery, kind of a grocery store that she was in during the day. She was an Applejack, wasn't a teacher.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But sometime we'd go there when I would go to Irene's.
Over to the store, you mean?
Mhm.
Okay. So the Cassidy house, you said you'd spend the night.
Mm-hmm. And Mother Cassidy, she had a room that was built on, you walked out, and here was this nice, where she did her laundry and like she did some heavier work.
Mm-hmm.
She, didn't mess up the house.
Oh, I see.
And she got up so early in the morning, she'd maybe kill 2 or 3 chickens, clean them outside,
I see.
make breakfast.
She'd do that work herself?
I don't know if she had a woman
Maybe.
also helping. That she was up so early.
Okay.
So when it was time to get up, me and Nolda got up and got ready for breakfast, got ourselves washed and cleaned, and Mr. Cassidy, I don't remember calling him anything. He was distinguished, almost like, you know, he was a president of the bank.
A banker, right.
He came dressed to the table.
Oh, very
and
formal.
We all sat at the table for breakfast. We even had mashed potatoes.
Huh.
I don't remember what else we had. We had the chicken. And of course I wasn't used to eating a big breakfast chicken and food like that. But the American people they cooked for their children and their families. Breakfast was important.
So you said sometimes you'd go to church.
That was on Sundays.
And the minister would come over.
Yeah, his name was Father Day, or Preacher Day.
Day?
He came just for Sundays.
Preacher Day.
Preacher Day.
Yeah.
He was do you remember him?
No.
He was a favorite preacher of the Cassidys.
Yeah.
And their church was right next door to their house. Their house and then the church was next door.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have this big breakfast after the church service?
That wasn't, that was weekdays.
Oh.
Before we went to school. Sunday was, I don't remember having a big breakfast on Sundays. And we weren't going to school, so we probably got ready got dressed, then went to services. I participated and I loved going to church with Miss Cassidy.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. And this Preacher Day, who was very outgoing, great preacher.
Was he a loud preacher? Because some of the
No.
Southern preachers get
loud.
loud. Not that kind?
No. He was dignified. After church, they were there for lunch, for dinner.
Yeah, that was very customary for the preachers to come back to somebody's house for dinner.
Well, he stayed there at their house every time he came. I don't know if he came like Saturday night and stayed the whole day Sunday. Then Sunday evening, he went back to where his parish was.
Right, yeah. Sometimes they would travel because there wasn't, structures
he came
everywhere.
alone, no children or no wife. But he was also well-dressed and handsome, thin young man.
Think he was sweet on Nolda?
No.
No?
No, he was quite older than.
Oh, okay.
He must have had a family.
Okay.
Nola was just young.
Okay.
So anyway, we stayed there on Sunday afternoon. I should say, let's go for a ride in the afternoon. Should take me to Warfield. Maybe we go for a ride.
In her car?
Yeah.
Wow.
She had her own car.
In the evening, then she'd say, we're going to go, I don't remember the name of the town where Williamson lived. And there was a teacher, Mr. Williamson, and I know they both liked each other.
Yeah, she
But
married
the
him.
Williamson family and Cassidy's, they weren't real. I think the Williamson family had something to do in the bank and the run of Inez, and the Cassidy's were always the higher group. And the Williamsons, they lived out in the country, way out in the country, but had a lovely big home.
So you were like the chaperone, so to speak.
I would say so. Her mother or her father never knew that she just said, Daddy, we're going for a little ride.
Oh, boy.
Never told where she was going, and they never knew that she was going to the Williamson family.
That's a great story, Irene.
And I never repeated it.
She knew you could keep a secret.
I never told any of the other children or anybody.
You probably could have shown her the cross, and she would have kept that secret for you.
I'm sure. The cross was still hidden.
Yes. So how often did you go to the Cassidy house, would you say?
Sometimes every month. I'd go the whole month every weekend, go home with her.
And another friend came once in a while.
Yeah, Mary Tarkani used to go sometime.
Boy, Nolda was good to you girls.
Oh yeah, she was. She liked us all. She liked I think the whole class liked her.
I think she liked you the best. Maybe.
I think I was her pet.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice to have a mentor like that. And then you moved out of her grade and you went up to a higher grade. Is that what happens?
Yes.
Okay. And
anyway, on Monday I'd go back to school with her. And I'd go to class. Go to school. And I don't know how. I used to have at home all my report cards that I got from her. But as I got older too, those report cards weren't meant that much to me.
Right.
Because I was probably out of the 6th grade.
Right.
16 when I stopped going to school and went to this Fisher home where I babysit.
Right. So before we get off the topic of school, let's take a look at
church.
Well, we'll talk about that a little later. Here's your brother's grade school diploma. And we'll show it to Annette.
Okay.
And Evelyn Cassidy found this in the school records for you and sent it when she sent the t-shirts and the postcards to you.
Okay.
And he graduated from grade school in 1932.
In Himlerville.
And so it says now he could have his admission to the high school department because he has honorably completed the course of study prescribed for the grammar department of Martin County Public Schools. And what I thought was so interesting is you told me Andy was the first one to finish grade school.
Yes, he was.
Was he a good student?
Yeah, he was friendly, and the teachers liked him. All of his teachers.
And why didn't the older kids finish? Did your dad and mother need them at home?
Yes. And they weren't in school. Like John, I don't remember when my brother, John and Anna and Sue, left school. But I know they didn't go further mostly than 6th grade.
Right. So Andy did well.
Yeah. And I think Andy was even going to Warfield grade school. I'm not sure if this diploma he got, does it say what teacher gave him
The superintendent was Mr. Johnson. The chairman was Copley, Wade Copley. It just says Martin County Public Schools.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that Andy went to school in Himlerville?
Well, I don't know if that's where he graduated from, but they didn't have graduation.
No.
They just handed the diplomas to the people that got one.
Because he's older than you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you went to Himlerville School, correct? Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think I didn't have a written fancy diploma like this when I got out of this school. So maybe I just graduated 8th grade from Martin County, from Himlerville. Because then they sent some of the older students to a better school. They got to go to maybe to Warfield to 7th and 8th grade. And my recollection is
well, and,
you know, it's hard to remember.
Oh yeah, but you do such a great job. The last thing about school today was to talk a little bit about the Hungarian school that your sister went to.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about that? Are you getting too tired?
No.
Okay. Your oldest sister, Anna, attended the Hungarian school that Mr. Himmler set up.
There was a special teacher even came that taught the kids, only Hungarian kids went there.
Like a private school, almost.
Pardon me?
Like a private school, just Hungarian
Well,
kids?
no, it was the whole Himlerville kids that wanted to go to the Hungarian school, went to school.
Was it to learn the language and the history of Hungary? What do you think?
Well, I really don't know because I wasn't that age yet, and I don't know if see, Anna was older, 10 years older than me.
Right. And did she go for like a year, would you say, or was it over time?
A couple of years, I think they had the Hungarian school. And their teacher's name was Mr. Lovich. I remember when he came to Himlerville.
Did he live there for a while in Himlerville? And did Sue get to go to the Hungarian school?
I don't think she wanted to.
Okay. How about John or Andrew?
No.
No. How about Mildred?
No.
No. Did you ever get the chance to go?
No.
Would you have
I
gone?
wouldn't have gone.
Tell me why.
Because maybe there was no Hungarian school after that many years.
Okay. Okay. So maybe Anna maybe she learned to read and write Hungarian.
She did.
And to speak it. And to speak the language. Do you feel like you could speak it?
Oh, yes. What I picked up as a child.
Yeah. Can you say something in Hungarian to Annette and me?
Yeah, what would you want to know?
Well, I'm not sure.
How about how pretty the flowers are?
Oyan say pabida. Oyan say Davidag. That the flowers are so beautiful.
Nice.
That sounds pretty. How did you say, I'm sneaking off? I'm going down the Holler Road.
Didn't say it.
Didn't say
Didn't
it.
tell anybody.
Never
I
said that.
sneaked off and went.
That wouldn't be sneaking if you told somebody.
How would you properly greet someone?
I don't understand you, no pot. Let's thank you, God, for the good day. Or the same went Hungary nights, or whatever it was, day, night, or morning.
How do you say I love you in Hungarian?
Szeretem magad. I love you.
It sounds pretty, Irene. So pretty. And you just picked that up from listening to your parents
Yeah,
and their
I
friends.
never went to Hungarian school.
Right. Right. How do you say it's time to stop now and take a break?
That's a little bit hard.
Or see you a little later, Annette?
Pogo vizetni magad. Later.
Okay.
The tracks, that there was quite a few tracks that went, you know. It was like where the the big train would
Right.
come. And then that train went to Williamson. And on the way stopped at a lot of little towns.
And Andy Bocci was Mr. Jones,
Yes.
correct? Mr. Jonas?
Mhm.
Got it.
And then Browns were in Kermit. Kermit was divided with the train tracks going through.
Okay.
Part of the downtown was on this side, and part of the other tracks were on the other side. And Browns were on this side, and of course they liked, especially when the Hungarian people came, Mom and Nina, because I think they felt comfortable by them being Jewish and Mother and Nina being Hungarian. They felt just close to home.
Besides having being Jewish in their religion, do you know what nationality they were?
They were complete Jewish.
Okay.
I think they both, Mr. and Mrs. Brown, both spoke Hungarian.
Okay. Wonder if they knew Mr. Himmler.
I'm sure they knew. Personally, I don't know.
Right.
But they knew that a lot of people came from Himlerville to go shopping
Right.
at Brown's.
Right.
How many people went? And I don't know how
Right.
many. Because the store, company store, for the miners, well, if they did most of their shopping, well, they shopped there.
This is a picture of an empty store with shelves and countertops.
This is when they were building the
Okay.
company store.
All brand new.
Yes. I remember going here when they had toys in this end, dolls and toys for children, and this way they had some clothing, and it was nice. It was nice.
That's the company store.
I think so.
Oh, I used to love to go with my mother and Nina course, not much.
You told me once that your mom never took all the kids.
She didn't.
Because that would
Maybe
just be...
I was allowed to go with her.
Yes, maybe one at a
And
time.
I was a headache. Enough.
You were a headache?
Enough to go and climb around. And
Little monkeys.
there was a counter in front, and these were the counters on the wall.
The shelves on the wall.
See this
That's the
thing
counter.
here?
Yeah.
That was the counter that you shopped from.
Okay.
You weren't allowed to go in here to
Right,
maybe the older people,
right.
but me as a child, I would just be nosy to go and see what went on back there.
Did you know any of the employees at the company store?
Yeah, and I'm sure they quivered when they saw that I was coming because I would be investigating and sticking my nose where it shouldn't be.
Oh, Irene.
Yeah, I was that kind of a child.
Curiosity.
You know, I wasn't I was friends with everybody,
Yeah.
whether I knew them or not.
I believe that. Who was the manager of the store?
I really don't remember, but there was a manager.
Yeah. And was your mother waited on by some women who would, or would it always be a man, do you remember?
I think there were a couple ladies that worked. And some men, a young man.
Yeah.
It was just laid out so that it was not just any way. It was a
Organized.
nice front store business.
Could you and your friends go there without your mother?
Hardly ever.
Right. You might get into trouble then.
Yeah, as I got older, maybe I did, but not before that.
Right.
As a younger school kid, maybe as I grew older.
And more responsible.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you wanted to remember about the Tarkany family? That's where we started this whole trip today.
Well, they had a big yard
Did they?
and took care of their yard, had chickens. And then there was a yard, a piece of property between Tarkany's and the bakery. Somebody bought it, and they didn't live in Himlerville, so Mr. Tarkany used to maybe plant something from his garden there.
Right. Right.
And then people would kind of like envy that he's using that land. Nobody knew who it belonged to.
I see.
But Mr. Tarkany, if he could sneak in there and plant something, he did.
Sure. Sure. Do you know who the family was on the other side of the Tarkanys? Was there another?
Yeah, that was Mr. Vince.
Mr. Vince.
He was a man that worked at the company store. He had an accident of some kind that he lost an arm.
Oh.
Vince had only one arm.
Do you think his first name was Vince, or was that his last name? Mr. Vince.
That's what they called him.
Mr. Vince.
But I'm sure he had a shorter name, but I don't remember what it was.
Do you think he lost his arm in a mining accident?
No.
No.
How, I don't know.
Okay. And did Mr. Vince have children?
Yeah, they had 3 daughters.
Who were they?
Just young kids.
Yeah. Do you remember those girls' names?
No.
Oh.
They were even younger than me.
Okay.
And I knew the wife, the mother, but she was another group of Hungarian ladies. Well, anyway, the Tarkanis lived next door.
Right.
And Mary used to even babysit sometimes over there.
Did you guys get paid to babysit back then, or was it just something you were...
They didn't even call it babysitting.
Yeah.
That was the new name in the modern days.
Did you ever, like, go to the Tarkanis and eat dinner and spend the night with Mary?
No.
You guys didn't do that back then, huh?
No. I hardly ever even went in at the other part of the house beside the kitchen.
Got it. Got it.
But I remember that how clean all of the house was.
Doesn't sound like there was ever a dirty house. Sounds like everybody kept their property well.
It was. Well, you know, they came from the old country, and their poor whatever they had in the home, they kind of brought that same way to America.
Right.
Hey, Mrs. Tarkany didn't have. She had one little stove, like you've seen them today. You have it in a kitchen. You do your cooking there. It has a little place for your oven.
Yes.
And it had a chimney going up. That was her stove. She never had a big cooking stove in her kitchen.
Do you think they had a bread hut?
No. To bake the bread?
Right.
I'm sure there was a place to maybe cook your bread, or I wasn't in their kitchen to...
Right. To work.
Yeah. But Mrs. Tarkany had her kitchen laid out. It was a nice little kitchen and clean. She had her own place where she did her dishes, and they had a table in the kitchen where they sit down to eat. I think they even had a dining room right off of the kitchen. And then on the sides were the bedrooms. Maybe there were 2 or 3 bedrooms toward the back of, excuse me.
I would love for you to tell Annette the story of your beautiful necklace.
Okay.
It's a good story, Irene. It's one of the first stories you ever told me about your life as a child. And I can see how you might get into a little trouble in the grocery store.
Well, that had nothing to do when I snuck out of the holler.
Right.
Because not much always knew when I'd be going out of the holler.
Mrs. Meyercheck always knew?
She'd say, where are you going, Irenka? I'd say, oh, just down the road here. I'd pass Joseph's and maybe visit with Teresa, not Teresa, Josephine. That was when we were out of school.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
This could have been a Saturday when I went out, and these 2 friends were working on their pickup truck down into, this was like downtown Himlerville.
Okay.
It was just a junky place.
The road you were on, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
The road that I came out of was our holler road.
Right.
And then there was a road that went through there. The houses that were there, they had, there were people living.
In the company houses or private houses?
I don't know if they were private or company.
Okay.
You know, I was so young that...
But there you were, out traipsing around.
They were people that lived there.
Okay.
They had their own homes. A lot of people had their own home. instead of the company house.
Okay. So you're walking
In
by
this
yourself?
part.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. So I went out of the holler, and these two guys were working there, and I just hung around watching them, what they were doing. I was about 10 or 12. They didn't hardly talk with me,
Right.
but I was interested in what they were doing, and I knew them.
Okay.
So they took a break to go look at some tires or something for their truck, and I stood around there. And when they left, I walked up closer to the road truck, and of course I had gumboots on.
Gumboots?
Yes. It was muddy.
Muddy.
Coming from the holler, if it had rained, the roads were, still dirt, and sometimes a kind of deep hole in the road.
Got it.
But the people used to watch the road, try to keep it nice and not dug in big holes or...
Okay.
Because people travel on the road that lived in the holler.
Right.
They tried to keep it nice. So I stood there, and nobody else. I didn't have a sister or a brother there. I was there myself. And all of a sudden, I saw the chain shining. And I scooped down to pull that chain, and I wanted to see what it was. So I pulled on it, and the farther I went, the longer the chain was, and on the other end, this was there. So I clean picked it up, went into the holler without telling anybody. Went to a creek, nice clean water that was coming from the mountain, and I got in there just with my boots, and I cleaned up the chain and the metal, and of course I didn't know what it was. A 10-year-old child. I went to church, to Catholic church, but we didn't have anything.
Right.
Kids like this in
Right.
those days. So I didn't tell Mom or Dad. I had my own little safekeeping box that I picked up. It was mine, that all of my stuff that I saving, I put this in there.
Your cross.
Yes. If I had told Mother or Dad, I probably would have got a good scolding or a good, maybe spanking. They didn't know that I even went out of the holler. There were 3 kids after me. My mother was busy with a baby hanging at her breasts, and the other girls were busy, and my brothers.
Right.
So anyway, I kept that a secret for years.
Right.
For years. I never told anybody that I had
That beautiful cross.
this.
Let me get a close-up of that.
What
I'm going to zoom in on your cross there.
So the chain that it's on now is a new chain, you told
Yes.
me.
Yeah. Too short.
You wanted it longer, I remember
Yeah.
that. But they just
My
replaced
daughter-in-law bought me a new chain, and this is sharp. And like sometimes I wake up now as I'm older and wearing it, it can hurt when this, gouges. If you feel it on your skin.
Yeah. If you let it lay on your shirt, then Annette will get a picture of it. And it looks, would you consider it to be a Hungarian piece?
No. I have a feeling that a young man bought it for his girlfriend. I think there was the writing 1928 on it.
Oh.
And it could have been something that he bought for his girlfriend. And when he was working, somehow it got opened up. It just had that snap on it. It wasn't, enclosure or the chain.
Right.
But it was that long chain.
When did you finally start wearing it?
After I was even married.
Because maybe then you could say, if Mother asked about it, oh, my husband gave it to me.
I don't even remember if my sisters inquired and started asking me, where did you get that chain?
Right. That was the best kept secret you probably ever had.
Oh, it was. I don't know how I ever kept not telling anybody, because I was so proud of that medal and chain, that how I got it.
Yeah.
Out of it was really in mud.
Right.
Soft mud.
Right. I'm wondering what else you kept in your safekeeping box.
Oh, just little trinkets. I don't know what I had in there.
Well, that's a really great story about your necklace. I love that story. Says a lot about your spunkiness as a young girl.
Well, it brought memories to me after I started wearing it, how I found it and how I had it all those years.
Right.
And it was gold.
Yeah.
It was a gold chain, and this was gold. So it must have been bought by a young man for his girlfriend, or she bought it for him.
What do you want to happen to it in the future?
Well, I've never thought of that.
Yeah. Something to think about. Yeah.
I would want some of my kids to have it.
Yeah, I would think
my
so.
My oldest daughter.
And now they'll know the story behind it.
Well, it really doesn't mean that much to them either, because I never told them about it.
Well, now they're going to know.
They were growing.
Now they're going to know about it.
Well, I'm sure now. I've talked to them about it.
Okay.
Since
I just think it will mean a lot to your family because it means so much to you.
I never even told my mother, though, all those years. See, my mother was Lutheran. If I would have told her about this, she'd say, you put that away, you don't need that. That was a different religion.
Right.
And Daddy, I would never tell him, because I was afraid to tell anybody about it.
Right. That's a great story, Irene. Thanks for sharing that one. I love that story.
I never even told my godmother.
Krishna much?
Yeah.
What would she have said?
She'd say, what were you doing there? Why did you go there?
Right. Right. Okay. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. We can move on to talk about school if you want to. And then after we're done talking about school, maybe take a break And then this afternoon we can talk about church and Mr. Himmler's house.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What was your school called? Just Himlerville School?
Beauty school.
Beauty school? How about when it was...
See, this was the... I don't remember if we must have had this school though when Himmler was there.
Oh, right.
Because we had a principal starting from, he was the principal from 8th grade to 1st grade. Mr. Simons.
Oh, Mr. Simons?
Yeah. Great principal. He was interested in the whole school and everything that went on. I don't know if he was, what did I know? I don't know if he was in charge of the teachers or...
Right. Was he a Hungarian man or no?
No. He was from Ines and
Okay.
over in that territory, excuse me.
So did you have different classrooms or were you all in one big room?
Maybe the 7th and 8th grade was together and 5th and 6th in that same room. And then that's all was in that one schoolroom. And then there was like lower classes.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of kids in Himlerville, weren't there?
Yeah, there were
a lot of kids in the holler.
A lot of kids in the schools too.
Right.
They came from the hills and
okay.
in the hollers.
So it was Hungarian families and
American.
And the American families.
Yes.
I got it. It was a public school.
Yeah.
Got it.
A lot of kids came from the creeks that were, people had homes way back.
Right.
Oh, and we just loved those kids. We got along with all of them.
Isn't that great? You told me that you got burned pretty badly in school one time.
Stove. Yeah.
Was that how they were heating the room?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
What were you doing? What were you doing?
Pushing one another kids to get close to the heat. It was a nice heating stove sitting on a pole. And everybody wanted to get close to the stove. Because we had some days, even in Kentucky, that were cold.
Right. And I think you told me you all weren't wearing shoes to school necessarily sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I think we always had schools, or gum boots.
Oh, you did wear your boots, okay. So you got burned pretty badly?
Well, it was I just barely touched the stove.
Right.
And it was enough to singe it was this arm.
Okay.
It was red. And you could see that was a burn.
Did you go home early that day?
No, the teacher took care of it and put something on it. And then when I went home, I went and Mrs. Shoulders started putting things on it. And I think my teacher really put stuff on it.
Okay.
You know, they didn't just leave it. It was taken care of. No bandage.
No.
Or wrapping.
I know you had a favorite teacher there.
Yeah, down my lower classes. Nolda.
Let's talk about Miss Nolda, okay?
She was a lovely young. She was only about 24, 25.
Okay.
College graduate. And her father was a Cassidy. And her father was a, what do you say? He was the head of the bank.
Okay. In Inez.
In Inez. So now anytime we did some drawings or cuttings or anything going in a classroom, of course I was the first one that would want to help. And I was probably her favorite student, because I was taught I would talk with her, and she was my teacher, but she meant a lot to me.
You must have been a good student, Irene.
Not so much that I was good, I was outgoing.
Okay.
I wanted to know everything, anything that went on in the classroom. I was there to help.
Okay.
To start what you were doing, cleanup time came, I was there to help.
You were a good teacher's helper.
So then this was like, I was in maybe 5th, 6th, 4th, 3rd.
Okay.
Or maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th. Because 6th grade, I think, with the 7th and 8th.
Okay. How many kids